Oh, hi there. I'm Zuko. Thanks for coming. I don't have any slides because I want you to listen to me instead of reading, except this one. Why our society should care about zero-knowledge proofs. And it comes with a live demo, so stay tuned. Okay. Please imagine giant words in midair. I have 3 bullet points that I want you to listen to instead of read, but imagine it. The first one says, we have a big problem. And that big problem has been described a lot already about exploitation of people's private information, which pools and databases everywhere. And I'm a computer scientist, and from an information theory point of view, the root of this problem is that every time you interact with anyone, you go to the dentist's office, you look at a website, you want to look at your children's school information, everything you do currently involves leaking your personal linkable information to whoever you're interacting with. And once you do that, it keeps leaking further and further. So we have a demo to show you what I'm talking about. Where's Mike? Okay. Mike here is a citizen. This is your personal information. And I'm like his dentist, the receptionist at his dentist's office, or a website that he wants to use. And the process for all of these things for all citizens as of today is you come to me to get access.
Can I please have access to your service?
All right,
Can I please have access to your service, Zuko?
All right, just give me your information.
I'd rather not.
Okay, hold on. Well, we haven't invented zero-knowledge proofs yet. So for now, if you want access to your dentist, you're going to have to give me a copy of that. And I'm going to add it to my database where it's going to get hacked. All right, hold on to that for now. So that's the current state of affairs. And I'm just going to name a couple of examples to assert that this is a big problem. This is not a small problem. But we heard about the Evolve Bank breach that just happened recently, and then a few years before that, the Office of Personnel Management, which at the time held 22 million of the security clearance records for 22 million United States federal employees, contractors, and their families and housemates. That all got stolen, almost certainly by the army of the Chinese Communist Party. And then there's an attempt to estimate out of the COVID relief funds that were handed out, which were something on the order of 1.5. There was 20% to 40% estimates of how much of that was stolen by identity theft and fraud. So that's the lower bound and the upper bound of the various credible estimates. That means somewhere between $350 billion and $500 billion that were supposed to go to American citizens for COVID relief were probably stolen by identity theft and fraud. And again, possibly some of that was stolen by the army of the Chinese Communist Party. And these are just 2 examples, but it happens every day, continuously. So we have a big problem is point 1. This is an unsustainable way to do things. And one more point about it is that as of now, the attempts to mitigate this problem mostly involve sending a photograph of your driver's license or your passport, or making a phone call, or maybe even a video call. You know where I'm going with this? AI. So as of 2024, I'm going to state that I think it is cheaper and easier for foreign enemies and criminal gangs to use or exploit our current KYC infrastructure than it is for the actual citizens to use it themselves because of this sea change in technology. Okay, point 2. Do zero knowledge proofs fix it? Question mark. 8 years ago, I led a team of geniuses that implemented zero knowledge proofs for the first time. We did so to make the cryptocurrency Zcash. So like Signal, the secure instant messenger is end-to-end encrypted, Zcash is end-to-end encrypted. So it's like the Signal of money. And in order to do that, we had to implement zero knowledge proofs. And that kicked off an explosion of innovation. So Tornado Cash that we heard about began life as a copy of my team's source code. And now, years later, there are hundreds or 1,000 different experiments going on about how this technology and related technologies, what they can do. So this is you're kind of sailing the seas of mathematics, and you land somewhere, and you don't know if this is like rich terrain that people can colonize or if it's a rocky atoll that's not going to do anything. You don't know until you try it. So it turns out Zcash was a habitable terrain. There's now a thriving village in Zcash town with curtains. And people are heading out in all directions. There's hundreds of experiments, some of which you'll hear about later today, about what else can we do with this. So now, for the second part of the demo, we're attempting to answer the question, can zero knowledge proof solve it? So, hold on, I've got to, so I'm a service or website, and what I'm trying to accomplish is to not let this guy use my site. Okay? And Mike over here wants to log on. But now we've invented zero knowledge proofs.
I'm going to submit a zero knowledge proof instead of my personal information.
Okay, so how are you going to prove to me that you're not this guy if you're not going to let me see your personal information? Okay. All right. Okay, look away. Okay, now you can look. Now, if you're not that guy and your personal information isn't his, then you'll be able to tell me, did I swap those cards or did I not? Okay, wait, put them back. Because you might be bluffing. Those might be both the same cards, and you just guess that I swapped them. So look away. Okay, look away. Okay, now you can look again. Now tell me if I swapped those cards or if I didn't. Okay. All right, so if we do this 100 more times in a row, I'm going to be increasingly convinced that those two cards must be different, because that's the only way Mike can consistently answer my challenge, right? So the more we do this, the more convinced I get that the card he brought and the Osama bin Laden card I started with are different from each other. But the zero knowledge in zero knowledge proofs is how much extra information I'm gaining. No matter how many times we do this zero knowledge proof process, I'm not learning anything about what's on Mike's card. I'm not learning the first letter of his last name or whether he was born in the 1950s or 1960s. I'm learning zero additional information. And zero knowledge proofs can be used to prove arbitrary facts, such as he could prove to me that he's at least 21 years old, or something else, without revealing anything else to me about his personal identifying information. Okay, the question is, do zero knowledge proofs fix it, question mark? But the actual answer is only partially, only part of it. Because, look in here, if Mike is actually Osama bin Laden and he wants to access some resource, he's just going to show up with someone else's name, right? I doubt that there is any way to prevent Osama bin Laden from exploiting other people's names or coming up with fake names or whatever. I don't know, so I'm not an expert on that. But as an expert on cryptography, I can tell you zero knowledge proofs do not do that, right? Zero knowledge proofs do not prevent Osama bin Laden from lying or misusing identity information. So that part of the problem, zero knowledge proofs don't help with. A lot of these other experiments of people going out in all directions to explore new terrain are intended to address that problem. We'll find out. It'll take years of exploration. But what did zero knowledge proofs change about this? The honest citizen, Mike, who just wants to use his dentist or whatever, now he is doing so without leaking his private information to the dentist. So that really changes, like, fundamentally the flow of information in our society if we use this technique instead of the normal technique where you give copies everywhere. Then we no longer have this pooling of private information into larger and larger reservoirs of vulnerability. Okay, that's the demo. Thank you, Mike. Okay, one more point. My third bullet point is my policy plea. It is time to build. It's taken 8 years to get this far. There are 100 experiments in progress. And there's no time to waste, because as of this year, it's easier for our enemies and for criminals to use the current system than it is for honest people to use the current system. New technologies are coming whether we like it or not, and they present both risks and benefits to our entire society. And it is easier for policy to accidentally prevent the benefits. So what I want as an American is for the next generation of technologies to be developed by the free world so that we have time to learn and we have time to defend our infrastructure with new technologies before it's too late. That's all. Thank you for listening.